If you're wondering which cameras for YouTube are worth your money, stick around. After we run through each product, I'll give you my personal take. Would I buy it or would I skip it? No fluff, just my honest opinion. Let's get into it. Sony ZV-E1. This tiny full-frame beast delivers insane low light and that creamy cinematic blur right out of the box, with AI auto-framing and gimbal-like stabilization that makes solo walking vlogs feel pro. But after a week, it overheats like crazy during longer 4K takes. The single card slot stresses me out, and the battery dies faster than expected when pushing it. Would I buy it? No, because the heat issues kill the flow for real YouTube shoots, and the ZV-E10 II does most of this cheaper without the drama. DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This pocket rocket with its built-in gimbal gives buttery smooth footage and solid audio that makes quick grab-and-go vlogs effortless. Plus, the low light holds up way better than you'd expect from that tiny sensor, but the fixed lens limits framing options. Vertical mode drops resolution annoyingly, and it feels delicate for daily carry after a few knocks. Would I buy it? Maybe, because it's perfect for fast, casual clips, but pointless next to the interchangeable lens Sony's for serious YouTube work. Sony ZV-E10 II. The updated sensor and better battery make this APS-C vlogging king feel snappy with great autofocus, a killer built-in mic, and easy cinematic modes that turn everyday talking heads into something watchable fast. It stays cool longer than the big brother, and the flip screen plus compact body just works for run and gun without arm fatigue. Would I buy it? Yes, because it nails the everyday YouTube grind without the overheating headaches or premium tax. Canon EOS R50V. This compact Canon punches above its price with nice color science, solid autofocus for faces, and creator-friendly touches like dual record buttons that feel thoughtful for solo shooters. But no in-body stabilization means shaky handheld footage, the 4K 60 crop is brutal, and rolling shutter turns quick moves into jelly. Would I buy it? No, because the Sonys in this list smoke it for stabilization and flexibility while feeling less compromised for actual vlogging. Sony A6700, the hybrid beast with IBIS, pro video specs, and that tough build handles everything from vlogs to stills without breaking a sweat. Plus, the viewfinder and better ergonomics make it less annoying for longer sessions. But it's bigger and heavier than the pure vloggers here, and the menu system still feels bloated after a week of constant use. Would I buy it? Maybe, because it's the most capable all-arounder, but the ZV-E10 II edges it out for pure YouTube talking head simplicity without the extra bulk. Fujifilm X-S20. This thing is compact, has killer film simulations that make your YouTube footage pop without editing hell, and the IBIS keeps handheld shots steady as hell for talking head stuff. But after a week of real shoots, it overheats like crazy in warmer weather, even for stills sometimes, and that kills the vibe when you're mid-rant. Would I buy it? No, because the GH7 laughs at recording limits, while this one forces you to babysit temps. Canon EOS R10. Super easy autofocus for beginners, and that flip screen is handy for quick vlogs. Plus, colors come out nice straight from camera. After using it, the rolling shutter sucks on any movement. Lens options feel limited for wide YouTube shots, and no IBIS means extra hassle stabilizing. Would I buy it? No, because it feels like a half-baked entry toy next to the others that actually handle real creator workloads without frustration. Panasonic Lumix GH7. Open-gate recording, ProRes internal, insane dynamic range, and that 32-bit float audio means I never clip my voice even when yelling at the cat during setup. It's a video beast built for YouTubers who actually edit and push limits. Would I buy it? Yes, because after a week, it just works without the annoying overheating or compromises the cheaper ones throw at you. GoPro Hero 13 Black. Hyper-smooth is still buttery magic for action clips, and the mods give flexibility. Plus, it's tough as nails for outdoor YouTube adventures. But low light turns to grainy mush, battery drains fast during longer takes, and the tiny screens feel annoying after switching from bigger flip ones. Would I buy it? No, because the Ace Pro 2 murders it for vlogging in low light, while this feels stuck in pure action cam mode. Insta360 Ace Pro 2. That Leica lens and big sensor crush low light for indoor or night YouTube stuff. Flip screen makes self-framing effortless, and free frame is genius for cropping verticals without reshooting.
Audio's solid too, and it feels future-proof. Would I buy it? Yes, because after using it daily, the GoPro feels outdated and pointless for creator workflows at this price. Insta360 X5. This thing shoots insane 8K 360 footage that reframes into whatever angle you want later. And the new replaceable lenses plus better low light make it feel like a content creation cheat code after a week of travel vlogs and action stuff. Battery holds up decently, but it still gets toasty in long 8K takes, and editing the massive files can be a headache if your computer is not a beast. Would I buy it? Yes, because nothing else here matches the creative freedom for YouTube when you are always on the move. DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. Rock-solid stabilization, killer low light for an action cam, and that long battery life means you can actually film a full day of vlogging without swapping packs every hour like some others. The 4K is sharp, and the front screen is perfect for checking your own face on the go, but it cannot touch the versatility of a 360 or the cinematic depth of the bigger sensors in this list. Would I buy it? Maybe, because it is reliable as hell for run-and-gun action, but the Sony and Insta make it feel limited for serious YouTube production. Sony FX30. This camera just delivers buttery cinematic footage with sticky autofocus that barely misses even when you are running around like an idiot, and the pro video tools feel built for actual creators who edit a lot. No photo mode is annoying if you want stills, and it is bigger than the vlog-specific bodies, but after using it next to the entry-level ones, it spoils you with how good the dynamic range and colors pop. Would I buy it? Yes, because it is the one I would actually keep using for real YouTube videos without getting frustrated. Nikon Z30. Super easy to pick up and shoot nice 4K vlogs with good colors straight out of camera, and it feels light and beginner-friendly for quick content days. No in-body stabilization means you're relying on lenses or a gimbal constantly, no viewfinder sucks in bright sun, and 4K 30 only feels dated when the others give you more options. Would I buy it? No, because the Canon is cheaper and friendlier, while the Sony just smokes it for actual video work. Canon EOS R50. Tiny body with great autofocus and colors that make your face look good without much effort. Perfect if you were just starting YouTube and want something simple that does not intimidate. It overheats way too quick in 4K, the crop is tight, and after a week it feels like a toy next to the FX30 or even the action cams for serious shooting. Would I buy it? No, because it is cute for beginners but gets annoying fast once you actually try to film longer videos. Insta360 GO3S. This thumb-sized beast is insane for quick POV YouTube clips and hands-free chaos while biking or running around. 4K now, but battery dies fast. The app workflow feels clunky after a week, and it still gets toasty in longer takes compared to bigger rigs. Would I buy it? Maybe, because it's perfect for spontaneous dumb stuff, but pointless next to a real camera for actual long videos. Sony A7 IV. After a week of hauling this around for YouTube, the image quality and autofocus slap hard in good light. But damn, the overheating kicks in during solid 4K sessions, and the menu diving gets old quick. Dual card slots save your ass though when one craps out mid-rant. Would I buy it? No, because the A7C II feels way more vlogger-friendly for the similar punch without the brick size. Sony A7C II. Tiny full-frame body that actually fits in a jacket pocket, and the AI autofocus tracks your face like a stalker even when you're flailing. Stabilization is butter, but it still overheats on longer indoor 4K rants, and that tiny viewfinder sucks for checking shots fast. Would I buy it? Yes, because it's the sweet spot for solo YouTubers who hate lugging gear but still want pro-looking footage. Canon EOS R6 Mark II. This thing just works for long YouTube takes with solid IBS, no recording time limits, and colors that make skin tones pop without fighting in post. Battery lasts forever compared to the Sonys, and the dual slots feel reliable after a week of actual use. Would I buy it? Yes, because it's the least annoying pro hybrid here and doesn't roast your hands mid-video. Canon EOS R8. Same great sensor as the R6 Mark II, but in a lighter body that feels great for run-and-gun vlogging, until the battery dies quick and overheating hits during 4K 60. No IBIS is a killer for handheld YouTube walking shots. Would I buy it? No, because the R6 Mark II does everything better without feeling like a compromised side grade. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you pick the cameras for YouTube for you. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Links to all of these products mentioned in this video will be in the description.